You are listening to Packers Talk Radio Network.
Packers Talk.
Eddie Lacy, Mike Daniels, Gilbert Brown, Don Barclay, Micah Hyde, your Green Bay Packers, yesterday's legends and today's superstars. From corporate or nonprofit events to private parties, add some spice, hire a Packers player from Mayfield Sports Marketing. For details, just go to PackersTalk.com and click on Player Appearances.
Are you looking for some signed Packer memorabilia?
Look no further than Waukesha Sports Card.
If a Green Bay Packer can sign it, Waukesha Sports Cards has it.
Check our website for upcoming Packer player and legend signings.
Go to WaukeshaSportsCards.com.
This is Titletown Sound.
Prepare yourself for overwhelming intelligence.
He's going to look like Gronk riding a unicorn carrying a lightsaber.
I know how toast works.
Clay Matthews, Squirrel Whisperer.
Your squirrel naming game is not strong.
The turd cheeseburger could come back.
If one of us wants to pee on it, sure.
I'm not bailing you out on that.
I was acting unprofessionally.
I'm just here to ruin things.
Welcome once again to Titletown Sound, episode 61, the Laddie Dillwig edition of the show. I reached back hardcore for that one, man.
Yes, you did.
I am Dave Bobke, I'm known as Bobbo, of course. I do indeed know how toast works. With us is Jeremy Vanderlinden, who made that snazzy new intro. Jeremy, how are you doing?
I'm great. I am super excited for some reason. So here we go. Podcast.
Fantastic. Chris Christofko is with us all the way from the Eastern time zone. Chris, how are you doing?
I'm late. It's like that. Yeah, it's late here.
It is. It's a bit late. So let's jump right into it here. On this week's edition of the show, we talk about the awesomeness of Mr. Rogers. Jeremy and Chris are going to debate what is better, Olive Garden breadsticks or Red Lobster cheddar biscuits. And we will have a special guest in Roger Dier, writer of Green and Gold Memories growing up in Vince Lombardi's Green Bay. That interview is going to be coming up in just a little bit. But first things first, let's talk about the game that was the Packers and the Bears. Something that I don't think any of the three of us really want to do right now, but we have to. And let's start on the offensive side of the ball. Jeremy, Davante Adams catching a lot of flack this week. Is it all justified or?
Hey, catching flack. At least he's catching something.
Oh, we need a red shot on that one.
Sorry about that.
Yeah,
beautiful.
That was perfect, and it is well deserved. It is 110% deserved. Man, I had such high expectations for Davante Adams coming into the season, and I know I'm not the only one. And when he got hurt, Packer fans were hoping that when he got back, he would be part of the solution. And Aaron Rodgers was hoping he would be part of the solution. I mean, you heard Rodgers say it while he was hurt. Getting Adams back would be good because he could be the deep threat. And I know nobody bought that as the idea. It is something that we talked about. But the point is, he's a guy we thought would add to the offense, and he just hasn't. It's been tragically disappointing. So, yeah, I think every bit of grief that he's getting is warranted.
I mean, 11 targets, 2 receptions, multiple drops, just the interception. It looks like at least that was partly on him with the kind of cutting off that route or getting muscled off of it. He doesn't look good. I don't know what's going on. He may still very well be recovering from injury and not being 100%, but it's really discouraging because I don't know about you guys, but I think you mentioned this, Jeremy. I looked for him to be part of the solution, like you said, and I thought that he would be. I didn't think he was going to be a superstar, but the thing that I loved about Adams is he's a gamer. He would show up in big games. He showed up against the Patriots last year. He showed up in the playoffs, and against some of the toughest opponents, he had some of his best games. This year, not so much. He doesn't look confident. He doesn't look good. I don't know what's wrong, but all of a sudden he can't hold onto a football, and it's frustrating because this receiving core is having so many failures. We can't afford Adams to be part of that problem, and he is.
Well, the thing is, like, it's not just Adams with the drops; it's Cobb too, and it's tragic, man. This wide receiver group is so sad, and I don't know what to do. I mean, as far as like figuring it out, I can't put a finger on why they're so bad at the moment, other than the fact that they're not on the same page with the quarterback. Well, that's fine. Like, we understand that. So, how do you get on the same page? Do it. Just do it. Whatever it takes to get on have sleepovers. I don't give a crap. have a big spoon session in the middle of Aaron Rodgers' giant living room and figure out how to play football together. What you can't say you're not on the same page week after week, and then every week show up still not on the same page. Eventually, you get on the same page. Rodgers put in the extra effort with Jermichael Finley to get on the same page. It took some extra time, but he did it. And we're not hearing the report of Rodgers is having an extra meeting with the receivers on Saturdays. We're not hearing that. And I'm not saying that it's Rodgers' fault they're not on the same page. He's part of it because as a leader of the team and as the quarterback, that's part of his job. But I expect to hear that there's a little extra effort going into getting on the same page, whether it's a big spoon session or a Saturday meeting. I don't care how you do it. Just figure it out.
I don't know if it's on the same page is the issue, because I think in the last 2 weeks especially, the huge epidemic has been drop passes. I feel like the receivers have been hit in the hands a lot more than they were earlier in the year when we were worried about them not being on the same page. They're just not making the plays now. They're not coming back for the ball. I don't know. Same page. I don't know. It's really frustrating because you feel like they're at least somewhat talented. I mean, I know James Jones is old, but he's had flashes. You know Davante Adams is talented, and he's a young guy, and you know Randall Cobb is talented. It's just it's really frustrating okay, so what may be more frustrating though is the social media pitchforks and torches going up for Jeff Janis. People, stop. Look, Jeff Janis is going to be a nice receiver when he's ready, but he's still not. And I know that he looks really good on kick returns. And by the way, I was wrong last week. He should definitely be on kick returns. You were absolutely right. But when it comes to a wide receiver, did anyone else watch the screenplay where he so whiffed on the block? That's part of being a receiver. It's not just running really fast when you've got the ball in your hands. First of all, you got to run around so that the ball can get to your hands, and you got to be assignment sure. You got to be ready for plays like that. He's not ready.
Jay talks about Jeff Janis a little bit on Out of the Pocket, and if you don't listen to Out of the Pocket, you should start. And if you do and you haven't heard this week's episode, you should listen. He talks about how Jeff Janis is just kind of like, I don't know, like he's playing more backyard ball, like he's looking for open spots, and it's not necessarily running routes the way that he should be, and it doesn't. And maybe a little bit of that is like it's a guess as to what's going on, but that's what it looks like from a fan standpoint. You sit and watch and see what's happening, and it looks more like that's the style of football he's playing because he's not to an NFL level in his brain. That is the issue with Jeff Janis. We've talked about that a lot. Jeff Janis has a lot of talent, but mentally he's not at the level he needs to be at. So everybody needs to we've said this before, slow down. And it's getting to a point now where radio hosts and other podcasts now are calling for Jeff Janis because he's better than what we got. He's better than than all the other guys. Or it couldn't be worse is the thing.
Oh, but it can. But it can.
Right, because at least Aaron Rodgers is hitting Davante Adams in the hands. At least Aaron Rodgers is hitting Randall Cobb in the hands. Jeff Janis might not ever get to a place where the ball could get to his hands. Or we'll probably see an awful lot of things where Janis breaks one way and the ball goes the other way because he didn't read the defense when he was running his route and he didn't run the right route.
Or he gets James Starks killed on a screen pass, like literally dead. That's how bad it could be.
Right. There were two bodies in front of him. He had to decide which one he was going to block. He took too long to decide, and they both ran right past him.
He went with zero, which was not the right choice.
He went with stutter step and got blown by two defenders. Janis just
But that's a good point. But he's not ready to make those quick decisions. This game is so fast. The NFL game compared to Saginaw Valley State is very, very fast. That doesn't mean he doesn't have the skills. It means he needs to adjust to the speed of the game. And it might take 2.5, 3 years. It very well may take that. And he may never get there, but I think he will. But he's not the solution. He's just not.
No, he's not. And look, it's a cute idea. It makes you all feel nice and warm and fuzzy inside. The idea of having the small school receiver step up and be the guy to save the team. It's like John Kuhn number 2. But let's calm down, okay? It can happen, but it took Donald Driver years before. I mean, it was like 4 years before he was actually productive within the offense. Can we give Jeff Janis the same amount of time? You guys all love Donald Driver, and so did I. Can we give Jeff Janis the same freaking chance to be that guy? I mean, you want him to be that guy so bad, but you won't give him the time to get there. What's with the NFL now and the fact that nobody gives players time to develop anymore? Everybody's so ready to cut a guy and draft the next, or everybody wants to get their guy rushed out on the field before he's obviously ready. And then when that guy fails, you're so quick to hang him and find another guy.
You know what it is? Literally, I'm going to sound like an old guy. It's the internet. Because if you were watching a team 20 years ago, and I did, you didn't know the Jeff Janises of the team. You truly didn't, because you didn't have stories that deep in the roster. You read what you read in the newspaper, and you followed what you followed on the TV broadcast. I think that's a big part of it. It's just we know all these players now, and they become, well, why don't we try this guy?
I think you're right. I think it's the fact that everything comes out quickly. It's an overabundance of information. It's all on Twitter. It's all online. They're like every practice now in training camp gets covered by beat writers in detail. Like every offseason or every preseason, I will follow the training camp practices almost every day, and I will get a ton of information about young guys, who's stepping up. Like Ladarius Gunter, I knew everything that was happening at practice with that dude. I could read about it every single day. Jeff Janis, the same thing. Just slow down on Jeff Janis, because if Packer fans had their way and Jeff Janis got on the field at this point in his career, he would be cut and off the team quicker than anybody you could think of, because you would be sick of watching him play like an idiot. You don't want to see him on the field, because when you do, you're going to be so disappointed, you're going to be ready to move on and look for the next big thing.
By the way, Packer fans, you're welcome when on Thursday, Jeff Janis has 8 receptions on 11 targets for 472 yards.
Let's not talk. You know what? If that happens, I'll delete the podcast and pretend like it never happened. We only get 2 listeners anyways. It's Jay and Bobbo's mom. Bobbo's mom doesn't even use Twitter, and Jay forgets the podcast because he's got his own life going on. So, we'll be fine.
Yes. Well, I'm just going to say this about Jeff Janis real quickly here. I'm going to repeat something that I sent out on Twitter, because I was actually on Twitter this week.
Wow.
And I put out a tweet that said, asking Jeff Janis to block is like asking Michael Jordan to play baseball. Just saying.
Pretty good,
yeah.
Those are my thoughts on him. Elsewhere on the offense, the running game, Eddie Lacy, over 100 yards, 105 yards on 17 carries, 177 rushing yards apparently against the Bears. Chris, I know you had a take on the Packers running game right now. Run with it, man.
So what's the problem with this picture? James Starks on 7 attempts averaged 5.6 yards per carry. Eddie Lacy on 17 attempts averaged 6.2 yards per carry. Total rushing attempts, minus 4 Aaron Rodgers scrambles. Total rushing attempts were 24. 24. And Rodgers throws the ball 43 times. They're averaging over 5.5 yards per carry, and they abandon the running game. What's going on? Why don't you take what a team is giving you? We knew coming in that this was the 4th rated pass defense in the league. Why are we forcing it? Run the ball.
I don't know.
You're gaining a first down every 2 plays at that average. Why aren't you running the ball until they have to bring 12 guys in the box and then throw the ball? The play calling, it's not specific plays, it's the tempo, it's the, like Jay mentioned, it's the identity, there's no feel for the game.
Yeah.
Nothing builds, nothing it's like they're isolated. It's like they're calling plays in a vacuum.
Right.
Why are we not calling more running plays when that's what they're giving you? I don't care if this is if this is supposed to be a pass first team. When they're giving you 6.2 yards per carry to Eddie Lacy, take it. And I know Lacy fumbled, and I know that they grounded him for a series. Stop. You're cutting off your nose to spite your face. Stop it. Give him the ball again. Yell at him on the sideline. I don't care. Make him do extra sprints, whatever. But when you have a chance to win the game because your ground game is so effective, hand him back the damn ball.
Make him go vegetarian for a week. You're right. And the other problem is they're abandoning the run after it's been successful, but they're not just abandoning the run. They're going from the run directly back to the same offense we've been watching since week 1. They spread it out, 3 and 4 wide, isolation routes, the same stuff we've been watching that's been unsuccessful. They're not running play action passes. They're not running any naked boots. They're not doing things that build on a successful run game. You're giving up 5+ yards a carry as a defense. If I run a play action pass, you're probably going to bite on it. That's probably going to happen. So they're not only abandoning the run, they're abandoning the concept of the run. Just the whole we don't need that. We've run the ball successfully 3 times in a row. We can get to the shotgun now and pass for the rest of this drive. That happened 2 or 3 times where they started the drive with 3 really big runs or really nice runs from Lacy, switched to the shotgun, and never looked back. It's driving me insane. There is no consistency with this offense. They start with something that looks like, it looks like they're going to start stacking some success. They've run the ball 3 times. Wait a minute. What are they doing? They're in the shotgun? Okay, good. Maybe one play. We'll just see how that goes. Terrible. Then another one. Terrible. Then another. Terrible. Now we're punting. Fantastic. This is why I watch football. It's driving me crazy. It's driving all Packer fans crazy. The Packers need to find what they're successful at and use it. And the one thing they are successful at right now on offense is the run game. Eddie Lacy may have dropped that football. He may have fumbled. You got to keep giving him the ball. He's one of the only successful pieces to your offense. You have to use him.
Or tell you what. If you want to punish him, don't give him the ball. But hand James Starks the ball. He's getting 5.6 yards a clip.
Right. Exactly. So it's a small downgrade, but you're still using the run game. They abandon the one thing they're successful at to try to figure out how to make the one thing they suck the most at succeed. It's like they're convinced that is the way they want to run their offense. They're going to do it regardless. It's just going to happen.
Yeah.
It's killing me. It is killing me.
I wouldn't mind seeing more Alonzo Harris personally. I think he's only got 4 carries this season, but
I actually love that you said that. I love that idea. That's fantastic. Why not?
Why not? Well, it was either that or go ahead.
Ripkowski get, just saying. He's
right, yeah.
Let's
not get crazy, but let's get more Ripkowski on the field. But the Alonzo Harris idea isn't a bad one. I'd rather see Alonzo Harris on the field right now than Jeff Janis. They're successful.
Shots fired.
They're successful. They are successful with their run game right now. Use the personnel you have in the phase of the game that you are winning at. Stop wasting my time as a fan. I don't want to turn on my TV and watch depressing things, okay? If I wanted to do that, I would watch freaking sad stuff. I'd go watch bummer movies and just dramas. I don't know. I don't need that. So figure out how to run your offense and stop being crazy.
You'd watch the Cleveland Browns if you want to get bummed out.
Oh, that's
that was low.
I felt bad for them. I don't know why, but
it's hard. It's a hard.
Did you guys by any chance catch the video of the Cleveland Browns fan shot live as he was watching the play unfold?
Yes.
And he ripped his own jersey off.
No, I was watching the guy. There was another video of a guy. He turned around. He had his camera facing the field and his face. And he was watching, looking at his phone. He turned around to watch the play. It started to develop. He literally just he left the stadium. It's like it was just this one motion of that failed and just left. It wasn't second nature. That's just the way being a Browns fan is. The end of the game, you're just leaving. The game's not even over. You don't even know how the play finished. You're just leaving. Oh, gosh. Being a Browns fan sounds terrible. So I guess I can stop being angry about the Packers.
There you go. Let's talk about happier things. Let's talk about the Packers defense. For as much as the Packers have been infuriating to watch lately, the defense, while it hasn't been flawless, it has been pretty decent overall. And I know the hashtag Fire Capers is still burning in our minds. But Jeremy, what can you say about the defense right now? I mean, you're still on the Fire Capers bandwagon, right?
I'm gonna live on that bandwagon. Because it's about consistency. And I'm going to say this one more time. I said it last podcast, and then I'll get into how I feel about the defense as a whole right now. But with Dom Capers, it's not a matter of, the defense is bad and they're always bad. It's the fact that you see such huge success sometimes, and then the following week they look like the worst defense in the league. That's such a drastic swing that it's hard to say, like, let's keep that coach around who runs a defense that can go from looking like the top defense in the league to being the absolute worst one week to the next. That's how I feel about Dom Capers. That's why I'm on the Fire Capers train. And I don't think it's unreasonable to be there. It's frustrating to keep watching that. But the defense as of this year, as of right now, the defense is what's keeping this team in games, which is so frustrating because we had years of watching the defense be the thing that fell apart when the offense was scoring a ton of points and the defense giving up losses. And you're like, what the hell are you doing? And now the defense is finally clicking enough for the offense to pull off wins, and the offense isn't there. You have to give credit to the defense. Now, sure, there are some individual pieces you can be frustrated with or question, like Julius Peppers. He's just dropped off this year, but other than that, the defense as a whole, great. They are keeping the team in games. The offense needs to figure out ways to win.
Yeah, I'm still on board, and mainly because, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Dom Capers has fooled me so many times, lulling me into this false sense that this defense is back on track, and then the following week they give up, 500 yards and 35 points. So I'm really impressed with the way they're playing, but I'm going to stubbornly stick to my assessment that Dom Capers should be done. But I'll tell you, on Sunday they played fantastically well. They were really good. They were able to stop a high profile running back, really do a good job against the running game, and really I thought they were very good. And it's disappointing to see these defensive efforts wasted, because think if this offense was just 75% of what we thought it would be, how good this team would be with the way the defense has played in many games. Not all of them, but in many games. And I think that's the most frustrating part, the missed opportunities. Yeah,
that is the most frustrating thing about being a fan this year, or watching your team, and you're so used to a certain product. You're so used to an offense that scores willingly all the time. Like they score at will. They take over a game and they force their will on the other team's defense. But then you watch the Packers defense fall apart. This year the defense is good enough. They are good enough this year, and that is important. And now the offense isn't. What the heck? I don't know. Just lots of head scratching over here.
Well, I got some more head scratching for you to do here, Jeremy. It's time for pick 3.
Ooh.
And you get to go first. If you could pick 3 players off the Chicago Bears roster and add them to the Packers roster, who would you take?
Well, I know I said to you earlier that I was going to prepare for this, but I didn't.
Liar.
So I'm going to take Tracy Porter, first of all, because he had a fantastic game against the Packers, and it was frustrating. It was very frustrating to watch. But Tracy Porter, he's not young. He's been in the league for 8 years, and he had a fantastic game against the Packers. And then after that, I'm going to take Alshon Jeffrey. Jeffrey, obviously, he had, we all watched him. He had a really nice game. And then I'm going to take Matt Forte. Keeping it simple. I like Forte. There's no reason to not take him. There you go.
All right. I also have prepared in that I opened the Bears roster on my phone 4 minutes ago. So I will take, even though he was injured against the Packers, I'll take Martellus Bennett, because I always take whoever's, any tight end that's available. I will take I hate to agree with everything, but I think Alshon Jeffrey is an easy next call because it's a position of need and he's very good.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll take Matt Forte as well. I was trying to avoid it, but I just don't know who else I would take in that case. So there you go.
Okay. Well, I got to go with Tracy Porter as my first pick as well because he really did. As much as I hate the Bears and I don't want to give them credit for anything, I do have to admit he had a pretty doggone good game and it was covering our receivers pretty well. And it's really something to see a cornerback that actually sticks to a wide receiver once in a while. I feel like I don't see that anymore. But anyway, so Porter's my number one guy. Number two, he didn't play. He hasn't played yet, but I would still love to take him off the Bears roster. Kevin White, the wide receiver, basically losing his rookie year this season, but I know at least one of our draft guys was really, really big on him, so I'd love to add him to the Packers
I almost
roster.
went that way. I think that's a good call.
Oh, thank you. Oh, he said something nice to me. And my number three is going to be running back Jeremy Langford.
Ooh, I like that.
I'm going to go away from Forte because I'm a little concerned. Well, okay, not concerned because I'm a Packers fan, not a Bears fan, but from the perspective of adding him to the Packers roster, I would be concerned that Forte is starting to get a little bit banged up, and I'd be a little concerned. So, on that note, it is time to go to our sponsor because we still have a sponsor here.
We do.
Indeed. Titletown Sound is brought to you by the Law Office of Christopher Schultz. Christopher specializes in traffic and municipal violations, wills, and estate planning. If you're in need of help, Chris has 920-252-0692. The number again, 920-252-0692.
Yeah, I have said it each week so far that I've been on the podcast while we're doing this ad. Chris has been great, and he bent over backwards actually to work with me because he was going on vacation and he figured out he knew exactly what he had to do to get it done before he left. He kind of went out of his way to make sure that it could happen. He's great. If you have any issues, honestly, give that guy a call.
All right. On that note, earlier today we recorded an interview with Roger Dier about his book, Green and Gold Memories, growing up in Vince Lombardi's Green Bay. And let's go to that interview now.
We are joined by a very special guest at this point. Roger Dier is the author of Green and Gold Memories, growing up in Vince Lombardi's Green Bay. And I've heard a lot about this book. I will admit that I have not yet purchased it because I'm hoping that a couple of little redheads in my family get it for me for Christmas. And from what I've heard, great stories. Roger, welcome.
Nice to be here, Chris. Thanks for having me.
So tell us a little bit just about the premise of this book in general. Why'd you write it?
Well, I wrote the book because I have a lot of very fond memories of Vince Lombardi's Packers. And when Lombardi came to Green Bay, I was 4 years old, and when he left, I was 13, and they had won the Ice Bowl, and they beat Oakland in the second Super Bowl to give them 3 championships in a row for the first time any team has ever done that. No team has done it since. So it was I kind of weave my memories of my life growing up with the memories of Lombardi, and the Packers were so important to all my friends and the whole town. The community was a lot smaller then. I think when we moved to Green Bay, it was about 62,000 people, and maybe by the time Lombardi left, there might have been 75,000 people. So it was a real cozy community, and the Packers lived among us. They were my neighbors. They got paid considerably less than what they do now, but a lot of them owned homes in our neighborhood, and we walked by their houses every day. And there's a lot of stories about that and getting autographs, etc.
So it's a collection of stories of growing up. I mean, really, your very formative years during the Vince Lombardi era. Then.
That's right. It's chronological, so I don't spend gobs of of energy on every year and in every game because I'd still be writing if that was the case.
Sure.
But there are some important seasons and important games, and at the time, it seemed really special. And now, 40 or 50 years later, it's even more so. So I wanted to bring the reader back to Green Bay in the 1960s and what it was like. And by judging by some of the reviews that have been posted on Amazon, I think I've accomplished that.
Yeah, the reviews are incredible. Let me ask you something about, being a kid in that era. Did you, now obviously you don't appreciate it as much as you did, but did you appreciate it then, how incredible it was? Because, really what had you known otherwise? Was it something special? You knew it was special at the time?
Well, as I got older, I did. One of the things that I felt with Vince Lombardi, and I don't think I was alone, I felt a faith in him growing inside of me as I got older. It seemed that whenever the Packers needed to win in a big game, they came through. Whether it was Bart Starr or those great defenses that he had, Horning and Taylor in the early '60s, and Grabowski and Anderson later on. And I interviewed Chuck Mersine a couple of times for this book, and Chuck took me two places that I never thought I'd ever be. He took me inside Bart Starr's huddle and Vince Lombardi's locker room, and it's just fantastic stuff that he gave me in this book.
So did you, now growing up in that time, you said that the players were among you. I mean, they were basically in the community, right? You have a lot of good stories about meeting players, talking with them, and as a kid.
Well, yes, a couple of my friends, Joe and Greg Lemron, and I did a lot of autograph hunting. We would go out at night in the autumns when the sun set. We got a lot braver when the sun went down, and we heard through the grapevine that so and so lived in this apartment, and on one of our exploits, one of my favorite receivers at the time, Bob Long, lived in a place called the Admiral Apartments. Well, we went into found his apartment, knocked on his door, and he invited us into his apartment. Him and a lady friend were having Kentucky Fried Chicken on TV trays. They invited us to sit down and eat with them. Of course, we were too flummoxed to take them up on that, but we had a great conversation. And when we said goodbye and we flew down the stairway of his apartment building, we were floating on air. It was so exciting. We were 8, 9, and 10 at the time, so there's a lot of stories like that. And a defensive tackle named Ron Kostelnik, he lived on the way where my friends Joe and Greg went to school. They'd always see him outside playing with his kids. Boyd Dowler lived on 5th Street, which was one street over from where I lived, and every time we went down to Perkins Park, we'd walk by Dowler's house, and he'd often be out there mowing the lawn. He was just a guy in our neighborhood, and he was our neighbor. So when we saw the Packers on television, when they were playing away games, we were playing in Milwaukee, our neighbors were playing for us, and it was just it was, like I said, there was a tremendous bond there.
I mean, I think to some extent that bond exists still, considering the small town nature of Green Bay compared to other NFL towns. But I don't think you'll ever capture what you experienced again.
No, I think I think the Packers have really become corporate, as a lot of NFL teams have. And, the Packers Corporation nurtures that lifeline to the town, and, it's good business to do so.
Sure.
But I think back then when the NFL was a rising star, it was coming fast as the sport in America. It wasn't so pronounced, but it was fantastic. The guy on the cover of my book shows a picture of Vince Lombardi shaking hands with a with one of his first friends in Green Bay, a guy by the name of Paul Mazzolini. Now, Paul owned a service station, Paul Standard Service on South Broadway. And that picture was taken as part of a Look magazine story on Lombardi. And I found it in the Library of Congress thanks to the guy named Joe Levine helped me out. Joe did that, was the producer of that wonderful documentary on HBO in 2010 called Lombardi. And he told me where he got it. And so it took me about 2 months to get that picture. But it's a wonderful picture. And a lot of the stories that I have about Vince that haven't been told before came from Paul Mazzolini. I got to know Paul in the late 90s. I played hockey with his two sons. And Paul got older into his 80s. And so I would, hang around with him a little bit and talk to him. He had a lot of stories about Lombardi. And I jotted some of those stories down when I got home, and thinking that maybe someday I'll write a book, and now I have.
All right, Roger, I have to ask, we all have experienced the Packers winning a Super Bowl. At least I feel like we all have, unless Bobbo was, in a coma or sleeping or something. But here's my question. This is what I have to know. When the Packers pulled off their win in Super Bowl I against Kansas City, what was the feeling in Green Bay? What was that like?
Well, the AFL to us and a lot of my friends, it was kind of like a junior high league. We used to mock how high scoring it was in the absence of defense and stuff like that. And it was nice that the Packers beat Kansas City 35-10, but we expected them to. So it wasn't that big of a deal, and evidently in the country it wasn't that big of a deal either, because it was played in the LA Coliseum and they had like 35,000 empty seats. It was. I think people were surprised that it was a 14-10 game at halftime, but the Packers decided to start blitzing in the second half, and that led to the big turnover. Willie Wood ran it back down to the 4-yard line or so, and that kind of started the rout. But it was 35-10. If the Packers wanted to, it could have been 63-10, I think.
So it's safe to say that that Packer fans in the city of Green Bay were more excited about the win over the Cowboys in the NFC Championship then.
Yeah, that was a heck of a ball game, and it was probably the worst defensive game that the Packers had played all year. And I mentioned in my book they gave up 400 and some yards, but they didn't give up the last two, and they made a magnificent goal line stand there to hang on to the victory. So, but it's just what I was talking about. The Packers would always find a way to win big games. I do a little bit of talking, quite a bit of writing about the 1965 season. They had 3 games with the Baltimore Colts that were just titanic struggles, and the Packers won all 3. They won the playoff game on a very disputed field goal that tied the game late in regulation by Don Chandler. Lou Michaels, a defensive tackle for the Colts, snapped to a reporter after the game. He said that kick was wide by 3 feet, and you can print that. And during the off season, between the 65 and 66 season, the Colts made a big deal. They got robbed. It was a big stink. Their highlight film showed that Chandler kick that tied the game in regulation in different angles. Well, the NFL by then had wised up to and continued the storylines from the previous season to open the next season, and the Packers played the Colts to open the 1966 season in Milwaukee. And because it was in Milwaukee, we were able to see the game. If you lived in Green Bay in the 1960s, you never saw a Packer home game on television because the NFL had the blackout rule going. But we were able to see it live on television because it was played in Milwaukee. Well, the Packers won 24-3, and it was immensely satisfying to everybody in our town.
So you talked, Roger, a lot about the Lombardi Packers always seem to be able to win games they needed to win. So let's fast forward you now to this year, when the Packers don't seem to be able to win those games they need to win. What are your thoughts on this year's team and what's happened in the last several weeks?
Well, I think I think the defense has played fairly well. They haven't been shut down, but they've played well enough for the team to win. And everybody knows it's the offensive struggles. I was just reading something on Yahoo here a bit ago. It said that in the last few games, Rodgers has targeted Davante Adams 35 times. He's completed 15 passes, no touchdowns, 1 pick, and 129 yards. His quarterback rating when he targets Davante Adams is 41.2. I don't think Aaron Rodgers is right this year. I just don't think he's the offense doesn't feel right. And I'm sure you guys will agree. There's something's not clicking there. And whether, there have been quarterbacks when they reach age 30, 31, they start to decline. I don't know if that's happening to Rodgers. I mean, we hope it isn't. But I have seen some quarterbacks when they get into their early 30s, they start to fall off. Other quarterbacks seem to play their best football in their 30s. But I don't know. I don't think the team is as tight as it needs to be to make a push and go deep into the playoffs, let alone get into the playoffs. It's going to be an awfully big game Thursday night, and if they lose at Detroit, which has found itself after beating the Packers at Lambeau here a few weeks ago, 18-16. If they lose that game, then I don't know.
Yeah, I think we agree with you on the offense being off, and we all have our theories, and we've discussed it probably ad nauseum. But no, I think you're on. There is something off. What it is, I don't know exactly. But I want to thank you a lot for joining us tonight. I can't wait to get my hands on the book. I know a lot of people out there are feeling the same way. So you want to talk real quick? You have a book signing Thursday, correct?
Yeah, for your Green Bay listeners, Green Bay area listeners, I'm going to be at the Reader's Loft in Bellevue. It's on the far east side of Green Bay. I'll be there at 6 o'clock. We're going to. They've asked me to do a reading, answer some questions if there's any, and do a signing. I promise to have everybody home in time to watch the kickoff at 7:20 Thursday night. So if you'd like an autographed copy of the book, it'll be available at the Reader's Loft. It's also on sale in town here at Boss's Bookstore, a landmark in Green Bay. It's on Cherry Street on the near east side of town. Boss's Bookstore began in 1898. It's still going strong. So they've got the book as well, and you can also purchase it on Amazon. I sell most of the books are sold on Amazon. I think a lot of people are doing online shopping now. But if you'd like an autographed copy, you can show up at the Reader's Loft Thursday night at 6 p.m.
Awesome. Roger, thanks very much for joining us. We really do appreciate it. And great, best of luck with the book, and I'll be hopefully reading mine on Christmas morning.
All right, thank you. Thank you very much. Good night, fellas.
Good night.
All right, big thanks to Roger Dier for coming on the show. And we got his take on the 2015 Packers at the end there. Now it's time to get some of your thoughts on this year's Packer team. It's time for Twitter questions. Yay!
Yay!
Yay! Hey! All right, Twitter question number 1 comes from @McCready Sam on Twitter, also known as Sam. And Sam says, to get away from the last few weeks' negativity, what's you guys' best positive from the team this season so far? What's your guys' best positive from the team so far? Jeremy? I'm assuming Ripkowski's going to be in your answer somewhere.
He wasn't going to be. I'm glad that you mentioned him, though, because, he should be. He really should. He should be in everyone's positive. But no, the biggest positive of this year, maybe it can be spun into a negative, so that sucks, but Mike Daniels has played really well all season. Every game. Maybe he's had a game where he's been off, but I haven't noticed, and I'm promising you, if you go back and you watch Mike Daniels, it's going to be pretty darn near every game he's playing at the top of his game, taking on double teams, winning against those guys. Mike Daniels has been fantastic. Now, where it can be spun into a negative, he is a free agent in the offseason. They need to figure out a way to pay him. But he's worth the money, and that's fantastic. It has been great to see Mike Daniels step up in a contract year and actually show what he's been showing since he started in Green Bay. And I'm excited that Mike Daniels is here right now, and I'm very hopeful that they can keep him around.
I would say that my positives this year are the way that some of the rookies have performed even quicker than we expected. I think Randall and Rollins have both really stepped up. and played pretty well when they've been called upon. I mean, there were a couple of other choices I had for positive because there are individual performance-wise, especially on the defensive side of the ball, a lot of positives. So it's not all negative. I mean, I think Mike Daniels is a good call there. He's been phenomenal, and unfortunately, it's going to cost the Packers a lot more money if they want to resign him because of how well he's played. But there are individuals that have played well and are certainly positive. It's just getting everything together at the same time.
My thoughts on that. Best positive from the team so far has to be indisputably, undoubtedly, without a question, Alonzo Harris. Moving on to our next Twitter question. Yeah, didn't expect me to go there, huh?
No, because it doesn't make any damn sense.
You expect me to make sense, really? 61 episodes, you expect me to say something logical.
Oh, gosh. Okay.
Okay. Anyway, our next Twitter question comes from @JasonPerone. And he says, over under on the Rippers carries this week. 2. Jeremy, you're the Ripper. You're like the Ace Ripper fan, so I got to ask you, over under 2 carries.
All right, I'm going to put my green and gold glasses on. Give me a sec. I lost them. Hold on, here they are.
Go, Pack, go!
Over, way over. We're talking like 60 touches in it. You know, he's just going to run like crazy. It's going to be the Aaron Ripkowski show. Get ready. His beard's going to be flowing. It's going to be amazing. Just be ready. It's just that's what's coming.
See, now I'm going to take the under. It's going to be 1 carry. But it's going to be 1 carry for 126 yards. I don't know how he's going to do it, but I cannot wait.
All right, wait. Let's finish that out. Let's celebrate with our green and gold glasses on, Aaron Ripkowski and his gloriousness.
Go, Pack, go!
You give a man a soundboard and all this.
Yep. All right. I'm going to agree with Chris on this. I'm going to take the under. I think the Ripper gets 1.5 carries this week. Our next Twitter question comes from @RustyWeese. Is it Weese or I still haven't figured this out?
We still don't know.
Yeah, we know, but we just refuse to learn it. That's what it is.
All right, so @RustyJohnson, I'm just going to call you that. Would you get me game tickets to pull my support more toward Titletown Sound from Titletown Sound off from outside the pocket?
Out of the pocket, or pocket monsters, as you may know.
Pocket monsters, yes. Yeah. I don't know what these abbreviations mean. OOTP. It's just foreign to me. Chris, I'll throw it to you.
So look, I've already seen that Out of the Pocket has made an offer to Rusty for his allegiance, and I cannot get Packers game tickets. But so here's what I can promise. I can promise that once one of my daughters finally gets season tickets, because they're both on the waiting list, I will take Rusty to a bar before the game, before I go to a game. But I will buy him a beer. In addition to that, I will get him on that date when my daughters finally get their season tickets, a value-sized bag of Totino's pizza rolls. So that's what I have to offer.
Hey, that's not bad. What did Out of the Pocket offer?
I believe there was barbecue sauce involved. I'm not sure what else.
Barbecue sauce. Okay, fine. Then on that same day that Chris is giving you a giant bag of pizza rolls, and a beer. I will make you the most delicious rack of ribs, and I will use the Out of the Pocket barbecue sauce to flavor those ribs. Also, I'll buy you a 6-pack of beer. Now, I can't get tickets because I'm pretty freaking broke, but if I find you at a game, I'll buy you a beer at the game, which, hey, that's almost the same price as a ticket.
Now, I want to warn Rusty that my daughters are both over 100,000 on the season ticket waiting list. So it might take a little while, but when it happens, it's going to be amazing.
Hey, but you know what? I'll make you the ribs. It doesn't have to be that day. But when Out of the Pocket gives you the sauce, you give me a call, and I'll make the ribs, all right?
So basically, you're going to use the barbecue sauce that the losing team is giving him.
Yes.
So basically, in a manner of speaking, their defeat will sustain you.
Right. Look, barbecue sauce is great, and I love a nice thing of barbecue sauce, especially Sweet Baby Ray's. It's my favorite. That's the stuff. But barbecue sauce is only a portion of what you really want. What you really want is a nice rack of ribs to slather with that sauce. So, you know what? The sauce is one thing. All you got to do is go to Walmart and pick up a bottle of sauce and you're done. The ribs, we're talking hours of smoking. I mean, I'm putting in a lot of effort here, okay? Out of the pocket I'm just way out of their league. They can't even handle this.
I'm going to say, because I think that's a good offer, the only thing that I could really offer, Rusty, is Titletown Sound Off's Unconditional Love. I feel like I need little birds tweeting like out of a Disney movie or something behind that.
You should talk to Jeremy. He might have it on a soundboard somewhere.
I don't.
I'm afraid to ask.
I wish I came prepared. I don't have this. This isn't a thing I have.
All right, we got one more tweet here. It's from Jay at JYS_H, and Jay hates us. He asks a question: would you rather spend eternity rooting for the Lions or listening to a Nickelback album on infinite repeat? To which our friend and fellow writer James Corsmo said, "You monster." And,
all right, so if we take that as serious question: Lions fan for life or Nickelback on repeat?
And it's one Nickelback album on infinite repeat. It's not like we could even change up the songs. Not that would help, but
like you could
too far across the line.
Is jumping off a cliff an option? Because that does not sound like something I want to choose. But that's rough. I would, if I might answer the question honestly, I'd probably have to go with Lions fan. I don't know that I could take Nickelback for that long.
It's really not even a question. I'd have to be a Lions fan. I couldn't ever, like, I don't even want to listen to one Nickelback song. Like, I could watch a Lions game. I've watched Lions games without the Packers playing. Okay, I've done that successfully. I haven't died. I would have to pick being a Lions fan.
Jay, what did we do to you to make you ask us this question and hurt us so? I would go Lions. I'd have to go Lions because I'm an Avril Lavigne fan, and she married Nickelback, and that just proves that Nickelback ruins all things good.
Wow. I can't believe openly on the podcast you admitted to being an Avril Lavigne fan.
Oh, heck yeah.
Oh, God.
Well, it's complicated. Anyway, let's move on to the upcoming game, the Packers and the Detroit Lions. We've started to talk Detroit already, and my stomach hurts. But, Chris, the offense of the Detroit Lions starting to come alive. They're fresh off a big win over the Philadelphia Eagles. I don't know if that impacts your thinking at all about the offense, but they're alive again, and Jim Bob Cooter is probably the man to thank for that.
Viva la Cooter.
Yes.
I mean, he has. Jim Bob has really done something to revitalize this offense, and they look. This is one of those offenses. I don't know why, but the Lions' offense is always, they've got these weapons. They're going to be high powered. They're going to, blah blah blah. And Matthew Stafford will throw for 8,000 yards, yet they just somehow seem to underachieve all the time. And finally, it looks like he's finally got them playing well. I mean, they're not world beaters, but they're definitely better than they were at the beginning of the season. Unfortunately for the Packers, they're trending in the right direction right now. And Calvin Johnson's finally getting the ball again. That's something they, for some reason, were unable to do for a while. So he's got the offense on the right track. They did something right with that hire.
The good news for the Packers is the offense for the Lions might be picking up, but the defense for the Packers has been the most successful unit they have. So that's great. They're fine. Their best unit is going to match up against the Packers' best unit, and their worst unit is going to match up against the Packers' worst unit, and we'll see which team comes out on top. I think I would take – I took the Packers in the first matchup, but I think that first matchup was more fluky than anything. I think the Packers should have won that matchup. I think they're going to win this week. I'm sorry I've already given away part of my prediction, but I just don't think that this Lions team, even with their offense clicking under Jim Bob Cooter, is a team to be nervous about. And maybe I should stop saying that because I feel like I've said it for 3 weeks now, and it's not working out.
All right. Well, we should keep holding on to hope because the Lions defense, on the flip side of things, 28th in points allowed. And Ezekiel Ansah really seems to be the primary guy to be concerned with. 11 and a half sacks this season. Last time he faced the Packers, he had 3 quarterback hits, but no sacks. Chris, Lions defense, Packers offense. I guess if I had to ask you to pick a winner overall in this game, who would you go with?
Oof. Yeah. If I had to pick a loser, I would just pick the general public with the way both of these units have been playing. Okay. So I'm going to be a bit of a homer and say they've got to snap out of it a little bit, and I would pick the Packers offense as the winner in this case. Their backs are up against the wall as much as their backs can be up against the wall at this point. So I don't, I think maybe it's more hope, but I think they'll come through. And I think this offense will be able to overcome, especially because their defense offenses are putting up a lot of points against them.
Go, Pack, go!
This is the week. This is the week, my friends. This is it. The Packers are finally going to snap out of it. I know Chris said it last week, but he was wrong. This is the week. The Packers offense finally snaps out of this slump. This is a good team to do it against. This Lions defense is not good. And hey, I know the Bears defense is supposed to be not good, but they are okay. And they did a good job against the Packers last week. And Aaron Rodgers played really crappy. But outside of that, this Lions defense is pretty terrible. This is a good week for the Packers to get back on track. And I have decided that it is the week they will get back on track. So there you go. The Packers the offense should look forward to a good game against the Lions.
I kind of want to say I'm with you on that because I think the Packers offense is going to pick it up eventually. I have to believe they're going to snap out of this.
Yep. You know what? This whole week I've been thinking 2007 New York Giants and the way that their season went and the way that their season ended. They did not have a good season. It's not that it was terrible, but it was not great. It was not, their offense wasn't on fire all season. The thing is, we've watched the Packers be a team that plays really well all season in the regular season and then fall out early in the playoffs. And we've watched the Packers be a team that ends up being a wild card team in the playoffs and work their way through and win a Super Bowl. I'm not saying that is like the recipe, but what I am saying is it's okay that they have not been great. Their opportunity is still there. It's still within reach. They can still figure it out and make it into the playoffs, and that's when things get important. Once they make the playoffs, we'll see where it goes from there. But this offense can improve. This is a good week for it to happen.
Man, what year was that you were talking about? 2007?
Yeah, 07. When the Patriots went undefeated in the regular season, that was 07, right? And the Giants got
08?
Was that 08? Yeah, 08.
Yeah, whatever.
No,
that was a while ago.
It was 08. The Super Bowl was in 08, but it was the 07 season.
Oh, right. That must have been
right because they beat Brett Favre and the Packers in the NFC Championship to get into the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Right. It's a really sad story. But the point is, the New York Giants, they were a wild card team that year. The Packers were a wild card team in 2010. Don't freak out. They still have the potential of being in the playoffs.
And real quick, here's another thing. There's no NFC team that I see finishing ahead of them that I really am terrified about going on the road. The Cardinals, I don't love, but I don't hate going to Carolina. So there's that.
Right. You know what? They have to play the Cowboys yet this regular season. The Cowboys have lost Tony Romo. Their toughest matchup for the rest of the season is going to be the Cardinals. I do think they can win a majority of the rest of their games. The game I'd be most concerned about is that Cardinals game, and we'll see what the offense looks like when that comes along. They're not there yet. This is a good week to get it started.
Yeah.
So I'm trying. I don't want to be overly positive because I don't want to be Homer guy, but I just feel like this team has the talent. Like all of that talent that we're used to watching, it's still on this team. They're just not. Something's not clicking. And eventually it's going to fall into place and start clicking. And maybe it's this screwdriver I've been drinking since the beginning of this podcast. But I believe that this Packer team still has it within them to snap out of this and make a run in the playoffs.
Yeah, if they can make a run like those Giants did, that would be my happy ending, that's for sure. And I'm man, those were such good days. Man, I was so much younger back then. So I'm going to lift my Mountain Dew to you guys and say, here's to never growing up. As we move on to Fantasy Pick'em, where for the second consecutive week, we're going to be drafting in the same order we did last week.
Oh my God.
Jeremy won again with Lacey and Jeffrey and Cutler and Cobb. I didn't finish in last quite, but I was close. So yeah, it's just I'm not happy Jeremy's winning so much, but what can I say?
I'm not happy that I'm absolutely terrible at this.
I think it's all about streaks, man. Jeremy's on a roll right now. I was doing better early in the season, but all right, Packers Lions. This is our chance to snap out, Chris. We got this. All right, one Packer, one Lion. You got the first pick. Who you going with?
Who am I going? I'm not taking Aaron Rodgers. I am taking Calvin Johnson. I just got to try something else because it hasn't been working.
Okay. Now Jeremy, that makes things really interesting for you and me.
Oh, it really does.
It really does.
All right.
So I can't let Aaron Rodgers be the third guy picked, so I'm going Aaron Rodgers. Go ahead, Jeremy. You know you want to.
I am so glad that you went with Aaron Rodgers. I am so happy because, you know what, Aaron Rodgers, he's going to have a good game, and I'm happy for you that you got a good quarterback. Your second pick's going to suck, but I'm really happy for you that you got Aaron Rodgers. But I'm going to take Eddie Lacy because it's time for the Green Bay Packers to lean on their run game, and they know it, and we know it, and every moron knows it. It's time.
All right, you got another pick, bro.
Yeah, right. I was basking in the glory of my Eddie Lacy pick.
He dropped the mic too quickly there.
I did. I dropped it a little too quick.
Back out for the encore.
I don't want to take Matthew Stafford. Like I'm sitting here like trying to guard myself from this horrible pick. Like stop it. But I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna take Matthew Stafford.
You know. I so wanted that second quarterback. Now I got to pick between this other crap. You know what? I think Golden Tate usually does a decent job against the Packers. As much as I don't want to pick him,
we have a strict rule. You're not allowed to take Golden Tate. Nobody is.
And my response to that is, what the hell? Golden Tate. Chris, your pick.
So what receiver will not drop the most passes this week? That's my option there. All right. Randall Cobb is going to have a huge game because Bobbo didn't pick him, and he's due. So there's my pick.
He's due. I love that. He's due.
Due theory.
That and the fact that, like, watch, Bobbo didn't pick him and you did, and he's finally going to go off. It's going to be hilarious. It's going to be great.
Bob never does anything when I take him, so
we have not announced this yet, but now that our picks are in, and we've talked about this a few times, but we are going to add a traveling trophy to our fantasy pick'em. The winner of this season will get a trophy at the end of the year, at the end of the season, and he will get to hold that trophy for the rest of the year. But not only that, the two losers of the fantasy pick'em league in the Titletown Sound Off podcast will be forced to smash a pie in each other's face. So, a little incentive to figure out how to win. And now that I'm winning, and now that I'm on a winning streak,
it's amazing how you announced this new innovation after you started winning.
Yeah, you're right. This new innovation that I came up alone by myself. No, this is something we've talked about. Okay, I didn't make this up. Now that
I might as well order the pie now.
Well, it's fun for Chris because if Chris loses, we're going to have one of his family members do it. And of course, it's going to be one of those cute little gingers smashing a pie in his face. So,
and hey, I get to eat pie, so it's a win-win, really.
That's true. That's true.
You get to pick the pie. So look forward to that.
I'll probably stay away from pecan or something with a harsh finish there.
This sounds good though. I like this. The two losers get free pie. The winner gets no pie. I think that sounds really good.
It only sounds good to one of the people that's going to be a loser. It's like you're looking forward to that. You're going to lose. I'd like to thank the Academy for my success so far this year. Oh wait, it's not my 30-second speech yet.
Not yet. No, not yet.
Yep, Jeremy, for winning fantasy last week, gets 30 seconds at the end of the show to say whatever the heck he wants. which is more infuriating to Chris and me than it is to you listeners, I'm sure. But we have to listen to him all the time anyway. Anyways, yes, let's move on to True False, where it was sort of we had a middling week last week. Jeremy got 3 out of 5 correct. Chris did not have a great week. You only got 1 out of 5. I only got 2 out of 5. So, Chris, you're still in the lead in True False. That's the good news. But now Jeremy is only 3 behind you.
Oh boy!
And I'm only 5 behind you. Not like that's going to go that well.
And we're all below 500, right?
We are.
Nice. I'm proud of us, guys.
Yeah, boy, me too. Although I will say this, I should dock Jeremy a point because when I was asking about the Packers recording at least 3 sacks, he said Datone Jones was going to get one, and I don't believe he did.
Shut up.
So, yeah, there you go. How do you like that, trophy boy?
I love it. I'm great. I'll take my trophy and my incorrect Datone Jones pick and go home happy.
With no pie. All right. 5 true false questions. Here we go. I have no stats for this week, so good luck with that. Maybe that'll help us. Maybe that'll encourage us to get things right this week. Probably not, but whatever. All right. True false number 1. Aaron Rodgers throws for at least 300 yards. Jeremy, true or false?
True. I'm living and dying by his green and gold glasses this week. True.
All right. Chris?
False. I didn't pick him in fantasy pick him because I don't believe he will. Therefore, he will. But
Sounds
still
good.
false. Yeah.
Okay. You said he will, so I'm going to say true. True false number 2. Davante Adams records at least 4 receptions. Jeremy.
I really want to say false, but I'm going to say true because who else is going to catch the football? And he's got to bounce back eventually, so why not this week? True.
Last week on the podcast, I said, thank God it was Randall Cobb dropping the ball because if it was somebody like Davante Adams, Rodgers might not even target him for a game and a half. So I'm a little concerned about the... But because of attrition, he kind of has to get a few. 4 receptions... I'm going to say false, actually.
Okay, going false on that. I'm going to be optimistic and say true. I'm not at all comfortable saying that. I've been trying to think since that game, like, what if I were a coach, what would I say to Davante Adams to get him going? And I have no idea what I'd say, but I don't know where his head's at, but I'll be optimistic. True false number 3, Matthew Stafford throws for at least 350 yards. Jeremy, he's on your fantasy team. So what do you think? True or false?
I'm going to say false, but
Good for you.
He throws for 300 yards, not 350. That's a little excessive, Bobbo.
Mm-hmm. Chris, what do you think?
I'm going to say false. That's a lot of yards. The defense has been playing pretty well.
Right. I'm going to say false as well, as I'm going to be hopeful because Jeremy picked him for his fantasy team, and I didn't get him. Because then I'd say true because, why not? All right, true false number 4. The Lions defense gives up at least 375 yards. That is under the average number of yards per game that they give up. I don't remember exactly what the number is because I didn't write it down. So, Jeremy,
Solid.
True or false, Lions defense gives up at least 375 yards.
One of the reasons we keep you around, Bobbo, is because you write things down. Okay.
Yeah, without that, you're kind of expendable.
I'm going to make a note of this.
Wait, put that in my permanent record? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, your permanent record, which I don't have. What was the question again? I'm sorry.
You don't have the permanent record, by the way, because I have the permanent records because I'm the one that writes things down.
You are correct. Yes.
The Lions defense gives up at least 375 yards, and I will remind you, you said true to Aaron Rodgers throwing for at least 300 yards.
Well, I have Eddie Lacy in fantasy, and I think he's going to go off for 150 yards. So true.
Oh, Chris.
I even though I said Rodgers is under, what was it, the number, whatever it was, I'm still going to say true that for 375 because I think the running game is going to get about 175.
All right. I like the optimism in the room here. I'm going to say true too because I'm going to try to be optimistic. True false number 5. Jeff Janis records at least 2 receptions. Because he's awesome.
You know what?
He has 2 receptions on the year, Jeremy. Go ahead.
No, I can't say true. This team has been absolutely horrible, and Jeff Janis has been on the field a few times. And if he was worth catching the ball, if he was worthy of the ball getting to his hands, it would have happened. It's not going to happen. And when he gets 2 catches this week, fine. You're all going to call me stupid. But the thing is, I just don't believe in Jeff Janis. And I don't know why you do. I don't know why. I just don't get it.
Under, whatever. What was it? 2 catches?
At least 2 receptions.
Nope. Will not happen.
Both saying false on me. All right. That's fine. I think Jeff Janis will keep holding on, and I'm going to say true. Booyah. So it's time now that we're done with true false, for the 30 seconds of glory, and Jeremy, regrettably, gets to do whatever.
Whatever I want. All right. Yeah. Well, I'm going to keep rolling here.
Go, Pack, go!
It's time to remember the positive times of being a Green Bay Packer fan, and it's time to get back into the flow of winning. And so I'm going to play a clip from the 2013 Week 17 game against the Bears. Packer fans, chin up.
Rodgers gets the snap. Blitz is on. Rodgers scrambles left, winds up right back. He's got Cobb at the 10 to the 5 to the end zone. Touchdown and a dagger. Oh my goodness. An NFC North Division championship dagger of 47 yards.
I love that clip.
My friends, that is the Packer team that we all know and love. What was it? 46 seconds left in the game. The Packers are down by 1 point, and they score a touchdown. This is the team you know and love. At the end of the game in Week 17 to lock down the division, let's keep it calm. Let's just keep riding along. Sometimes these seasons take a long time to play out. Let's just chill.
All right. Well, that note. It's a prediction where all 3 of us were wrong last week, needless to say. I don't want to point fingers or anything, but one of us may have predicted a score of 118-0. It was a little bit off.
Oops.
I'm not gonna, like I said, I'm not gonna name names. I'm just gonna say it wasn't Jeremy or me. That's all I'm gonna say. So on that note, though, Green Bay Packers and the Detroit Lions in Detroit. Jeremy, who's gonna win and what's the score gonna be?
I've still got those green and gold glasses on, and I know Chris last week went a little overboard because when the team is playing as poorly as they have been, you have nowhere else to go. And so I'm going to go to Crazy Land too. The Packers are going to win 3,655 to -7. That is going to be the result. It's going to be fantastic.
I don't know how I can follow that. You've done my homerism. So
you're losing grip, Jeremy. You're losing grip.
That's a lot of field goals. I will say that it's going to be a hell of a fantasy day, too, for the entire Packers offense. Ripkowski's going to get about 9 carries for 2 touchdowns that way.
How many carries did I say Ripkowski was going to have? It was like 60 carries or something, okay?
That's all fullback all the time.
Look, this is what you did last week, and it didn't work. So I'm going to do it this week, and it's going to work. Super homerism is what's going to snap this team out of it.
This is a game as close to a must-win game as the Packers have had in quite some time. And they lose in Detroit, and it's a mess because now you've lost division games. You're now at least 1, maybe 2 games behind the Vikings. So it's ugly. At this point, they control their own, destiny in the division. They got to win this one. So I think they win. I think they win 24-13. Another great defensive performance and a reasonably good offensive performance to start getting back on track.
All right. I have to believe the Packers offense is going to get it going somehow. I'm just trying to figure out, is it going to be later in the game or is it going to be more or less right away? Because that'll influence the way I view this. But I'm going to go 31-17 Green Bay in a more high-scoring game than we got from these 2 teams last time, I believe. So that's my thinking.
You know, I don't want to be too negative, but man, that is the one thing that's been hardest for Packer fans, I think, is you go into every game thinking this is the one where they're going to snap out of it in the first quarter. They're going to score like 2 touchdowns, and the offensive party is just going to be on, and it like never shows up. But you expect it almost every week, thinking one of these days, because it's still there, people. Like I said before, it's all still there, and it could happen. So why not against the Lions? Why not this week? I believe. Do you? That is the question. So this has been Titletown Sound episode 61. 61?
61.
Is that even possible? Are we that far along?
Yeah.
It's like every week I forget how far along we are.
We're getting old, man.
I think I don't know. I think this is going to be the week, and the reason I think this is going to be the week is because I have no more room in my life for negativity. I'm ready to move into the positive side of things. So, Packer fans, thank you for listening to Titletown Sound. Thank you for joining us in our craziness. We've been doing this for 61 episodes now, and we just keep getting more listeners and more Twitter questions. So we really appreciate the interaction on Twitter. Speaking of that, you can follow the website at Titletown Sound. You can follow Chris at TTSO_Chris. You can follow Bobbo at TTSO. He never changed his Twitter handle because he's a jerk. At That's Our Bobbo. And you can follow me at TTSO_Jeremy. Thank you for listening. Bobbo,
yes.
You got anything to say?
I have 2 things to say. First of all, I want to make sure, and I know you have a soundbite. I don't know if you got it ready or not. But,
I'm ready.
I'm setting Jeremy up for this. First thing is, don't forget to pet your cat.
Have you by any chance lost your kitty? Well, I have her.
That's
so disturbing.
That sounds so scary. I've never been so terrified of Mr. Rogers in my life.
You find the cat.
All right. Don't forget to pet your cat and protect your cat and hug it and squeeze it.
I just hope these sound bites come through clearly on the show. Otherwise, it sounds even more crazy.
I'll tell you something that didn't come through clearly to you guys, because my second point here is, since the Twitter segment, I have made no less than 7 Avril Lavigne references. And you guys have to pick up on one of them.
Wait a minute. No, that's a lie. You have not.
7 Avril Lavigne references. I can name the songs for you.
Oh my God! I'm so disappointed in you.
Whoever, if anyone's listening and they document all 7, I will send them a T-shirt from my personal collection. I didn't say it was a Packers T-shirt. It might be some old beer T-shirt, but I will mail you a T-shirt of some sort.
I'll give you a shout out.
If you collect all 7 of those references, I will go down to Jeff Sports or whatever local autograph store I can find and buy you an autographed picture of a current Green Bay Packer.
Nice. That's better than an old stinky T-shirt of mine.
Because it is that ridiculous that there are 7 of them. They are out there in whatever podcasts. Okay, we've been doing Twitter questions for most of the season, and that might even go into last season. So good luck finding all 7 references. If you find them, I will buy you an autographed picture of a current Green Bay Packer. Congratulations. There's your opportunity. Go get it. And then wait a minute. The first person to bring me all 7 references, I'm not going to buy an autographed picture for every single person. So
yeah. By the way, Jeremy said he'll buy it. Yeah, you didn't say you were sending it, did you?
No, I'll buy it. And then I'll put it on my wall and say, yeah, I bought that for so-and-so.
So if you can get all 7 references and then learn where Jeremy lives,
you can have the picture. No, I will buy it. I will send it to you for real. If you find all 7 references, if you're nerdy enough to go through all of our old podcasts and find it.
No, it's all 7 in this episode.
This episode? I'm calling it off. I'm done.
Yeah.
That's not happening. Nope, because that's all too easy. It'll be Jay. I'll be sending Jay an autographed picture or something.
I'll still send someone an old T-shirt.
But I will send you something. It'll be a surprise. It won't be expensive, but it'll be awesome. It'll be awesome. So, anyways, this podcast has just driven itself off the rails. We are the next Hot Mess Express. And, so thank you for listening to the show. Jay has referenced us, he has referred to us as the Cheers of Packers podcast, so we're going to go out with some beautiful music. Thank you for listening. Thank you for riding along, and thank you for homering up with the boys of Titletown Sound. We will bring you another podcast next week. Wait a minute!
Good night, Prince Janis.
There it is. Good night, Prince Janis. We'll talk to you guys next week. Thanks for listening.
And your little angel hung the cat up by its tail, and your third fiance didn't show. Sometimes you wanna go where everybody knows your name, and they're always glad you came. You wanna be where you can see our troubles are all the same. You wanna be where everybody knows your name.
Are you looking for some signed Packer memorabilia?
Look no further than Waukesha Sports Card.
If a Green Bay Packer can sign it, Waukesha Sports Cards has it.
Check our website for upcoming Packer player and legend signings.
Go to WaukeshaSportsCards.com.
Eddie Lacy, Mike Daniels, Gilbert Brown, Don Barclay, Micah Hyde, your Green Bay Packers, yesterday's legends and today's superstars. From corporate or nonprofit events to private parties, add some spice, hire a Packers player from Mayfield Sports Marketing. For details, just go to PackersTalk.com and click on Player Appearances.